Good evening, everybody. Tonight I'm going to show you how I put together a 4 lithophane box using LED lights. This is the standard 4 lithophane box that you can download off Thingiverse, Things, Colts. It's free on all those sites, I think. I'm pretty sure it's on all of them. But I didn't like having to use a light bulb and having the wire stuck out the back and that big old bulb in there and everything, so I thought I would try using LEDs, and it actually turned out okay. You can see there's one I've done. I've actually done, I don't know, 8 or 10 of these so far, and thought I'd just show you how I do it. A few things that you're going to need are, of course, LED lights. I have been using the soft white, which is, like the old incandescent bulbs. And I recently bought a roll of the white light. This is like 6,000 lumens, I think. I don't remember what that one is, the white light, but they're the soft light. So I'm not going to use the bright ones, the 6,000 lumens, on this box because this is for somebody and they've seen the soft white and that's what they want to see. So I am going to experiment with that in the future, and we'll see how that turns out. But for today, we are going to use soft white. Now this, I can show you, has, I think those are in 1-inch increments where you can cut it. With this roll, and I'll put a link in the description to this, I think I use half a roll on each box that I do. Maybe just a little bit less than half a roll, but it ain't that bad. Some of these come with a on-off switch built onto it, and some don't, like this one. It didn't. Actually, this is the first one I ordered, actually had an on-off switch with it. This one does not. It just plugs into the USB. So if it doesn't come with it, you can order these separately. They're USB on-off switches, and we're just going to cut this end off of here, and we just need the positive and negative wire that's inside there. So we're going to cut that off and throw it away. And I'll just save this one. I mean, that's cool. I could use it for this, I guess, but I don't want to. I want to keep it that with the on-off switch like this. I like the click. So yeah. Next thing you're going to need, so we got the LEDs, we got an on-off switch. This is a connector to where the wires from your power cord go in one side. You can see that's completely split down the center so the wires can't touch each other. And on the other side, it's designed for the LED light strip to go inside of it and clamp down. I like these better than the press-on, or the ones that have the clip that come over and clip, because you actually get to screw down the connections. And I don't know, I like that a lot better than the snap ones. So I don't know. I'll put, like I said, I'll put a link to all the stuff that I used in the description. But there's a whole bag of these. It was like $10. There's like 20 of them in here, or 25 or something like that. So that's next to nothing for those. It even came with its own little screwdriver. And the other thing we're going to need is a glue gun. And I use crystal clear glue sticks, so they're completely clear when it dries. The lithophane box, since I'm not using, I'll show you this, since I'm not using a light bulb socket on the back of it, I designed this real quick, and it's a cover that I glue on there from the inside. It fits perfectly in the hole, and I just put a little glue on it, and that's where I run the USB wire through. One thing you need to remember if you're going to search around and find your own LED lights and stuff, you got to remember to make sure that it's only 5 volts. If you buy the 12 volts, that's for auto. That's for cars and stuff. You need a 5 volt because the USB plug that you use, which this is, oh, I forgot you need USB plugs too. Power adapter, USB blocks, I guess they call them. Let's see if it shows it on here. Yeah, output DC 5 volts 2.1 amp. So if you bought the 12 volt LEDs, they won't last very long. They'll probably burn up. So yeah, that's something to remember. 5 volt. And also pay attention when you're buying this. This is 8mm wide, and some of them are 10mm wide. It doesn't matter what you buy. You just got to make sure that the connector that you have like this is for whatever size LED light you're buying. So I think that's all you really need to worry about. I did use, I guess I'll show you. I used Grat Kit Black PLA. It's not silk, but this stuff is very shiny. I thought I made a mistake and bought silk. I didn't. It's just very shiny PLA. I really like Grat Kit, and I will continue to buy their stuff in the future. And for the lithophane itself, I bought American Filaments. This is the warm lithophane, white. Yeah, I will put a picture in the video. I don't know where I'm going to put it in there, but I'll show the orientation on the slicer program, how I did this. I printed this sitting on the back like this, and I put support blockers on the 4 corners at the top, because these little, it has a little curved part on both sides. I can't even show you really, can I? And it wants to build supports all the way up to support that little bitty tab right there, and so just put a support blocker on that. Now when I put this on my print bed, a lot of people will print it like this because the grooves for the lithophane are on this side. I don't like doing that because then my textured PEI plate is on the front cover surface of this, and you'll see it. I want to see the printer lines. So instead of doing it upside down, I print it right side up with support for the lip that goes around it, and I also use a support blocker in all 3 of the, excuse me, 4. Yeah, there's 3 notches for lithophanes, and the bottom side is curved. And I did use support blocker and all that. The only place I had support was the actual frame where the lithophane sits inside on this lip right here. I will save that because I might use that on another lithophane. I think I'm working on my own design for a lithophane box for a wider pictures, because these 120 by 120s, you really got to crop the picture down. And some photos I have for people, you can't do that. It's got to be like a 5x7. So I'm working on another box, and I'm actually thinking about making another box that has magnets holding the cover on. I think that'd be a good idea. Let's see here. So those wires, I think I'm actually going to unroll this because those wires are soldered onto there. You could just take your scissors and cut off one section of this if you wanted to. I'm just going to unroll the whole thing, which it's like, I don't remember how many, it's like 1 point something meters. And I'm just going to start from the other end, since it doesn't have any wires attached to it. So that makes it a lot easier. Now the reason I say you have to have a glue gun is there is 3M. I think it's 3M. This isn't 3M. It's something else. But anyway, it does have an adhesive on it. But whenever I've learned from, just from the past ones I put together, that if you just use the sticky part on the LED, it will fall back off of the lithophane box where you put it. I think just because we're going to be doing a lot of twisting and bending of the LED strip like this, it's going to be folded over. So I use hot glue to help hold it in place, and that seems to have been working. Let me go ahead and get the cap. I'll show you. I should, if I designed it right, just nice and perfect to fit in that back hole. Oh man, that's just beautiful. And I did that because I didn't want all the extra light from inside the box, you know, because this is sitting on a table or whatever, and all that extra light will be coming out the back of it, shining up against a wall or something. And I don't like that. So what we're going to do is that snapped in there like that. I'm going to glue it when I start doing the LEDs. So now, get this off here. We are going to make sure you cut the right end of this. I did it one time, I made a mistake, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I cut off the plug part. Oops. Ended up having to throw that away. But this is the side I want to cut off because this plugs into the USB block, and this plugs into whatever you were wanting to turn on and off. Cut that off and just throw that away. Now, we've got to peel back just a little bit of this. Don't have to be much, I'd say maybe ½ an inch. So the black insulation comes off the two wires, the positive and the negative. And then be very careful, because if you're using a knife or whatever you choose to use, it will very easily cut through the wire. I'm just barely putting any pressure on that. And hopefully. Oh, there we go. And see, it pulled off about, I'd say that's about 4 millimeters of exposed wire. And sometimes, I don't know if your fingernails are cut long or cut short. If you have fingernails, if you just take your fingernail or your thumbnail, you can pinch it. Did it again. And you can usually get it to come off. Just your fingernail or thumbnail. Or if you actually had wire stripper pliers, which I have a pair, but they're out in my shop, and I don't feel like going out and getting them. This was a lot easier, it's so small. So then you got your positive and your negative. Now, you look on your LED strip, and see there's 5V with the plus symbol, and then a negative symbol on the other side. Yeah, you can't see that, can you? At all. But you just look at your wire, at your LED strip, and you'll look at how, see the one, remember I showed you the one side has complete block down the center to keep the wires from touching, and the other side is allowing the LED strip to slide in there, so you'll be able to clamp it down. So when I put this LED strip in here, positive is the right side and negative is the left side. So positive will slide in here. Give a little twist to this, makes it a little easier too. You don't fray the ends of it, or don't actually get one strand of wire touching the opposite side. What did I say it was? Positive on the right. So I'm gonna stick that in there. So just go ahead and put them both in. Oh, come on. Okay, I think that might be cinched down a little bit. I'll loosen these up just a little bit. Yeah, I think it was already crimped down, because I couldn't push that in there very easy. Okay, so that's your positive and your negative. Push them in there, and then you'll just tighten those screws down nice and snug. And when we put this together, we're going to put hot glue over this whole thing to kind of seal it and keep it from moving once you get it put together. And guess what? I got to take this whole thing back apart, because I should have slid this through that hole first. So let me take this back apart. We're going to slide the wire in from the back through the hole, and then I'll get this put back on there. Okay, sorry about that. I made a mistake and skipped a step. So now I got the plug, or the switch, excuse me, and plug, ran through the back. It's ran through my plug that I designed there, and I have the connector hooked back up. So, alright, now these LED strips came with this cover over it. It's a light distribution strip or something like that. I don't know. But what happens is it actually interferes with sliding into the connector. So I take my X-Acto knife, and you can see these the connectors. I do it back flush with that. You just push down gently. You don't need to push real hard to cut through that. And you can peel a little section of that off to give you the room you need. I should have put a new blade on that. A little dull. There we go. So, see, I cleared that off. That's actually LED right there. But it's going to go inside here. It won't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You won't ever even notice it. And so, if I get this close enough for you to see, remember the positive was on that side and the negative is on this side. And so that's how we're going to put it in here. Red is positive, black is negative, if you didn't know. Oh, did I not loosen those up? I didn't loosen those up. Okay. Yeah, that should. Perfect. You know what? I think I'm going to go just a tad more. Just a little bit. It's a little experimenting to this. It's not an exact science. You just got to feel it out, kind of. Okay. Oh, these little pieces get everywhere. I try to keep it cleaned up. So, anyway, okay. And before you put that in there, also, you'll need to pull back the adhesive tape, or the, I don't know what they call this, part of the sticky, the tape side. Pull back the paper. Can't see. There you go. And we're going to slide that inside there. Oh yeah, that fit in there much better. I like that. And clamp those screws down. Okay, guys, I put those down pretty snug. I mean, you don't want it to come loose or vibrate loose in the future and have to get in here and work on it and repair it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and test this real quick. I'm going to plug it in. I'll leave that plugged in. And make sure it all works. Oh, yep, there it goes. Make sure the switch works. Where's the switch? Oh, yeah. Okay. So now, I unplugged it again, just in case. So, I mean, 5 volts isn't going to hurt you, but it'll make your fingers tingle. Okay, so now, slide that back. I didn't pull it all the way through. I pulled it through enough that I can fold it over. It's still got some of the insulation, the wire insulation on the inside. Runs all the way through the hole. And I guess what we're going to go ahead and do real quick, I want to get some glue on this plug. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, we're going to put some hot glue underneath this connector block, and we're going to press it down flat right here, and that will help to hold it in place. And I'll have to hold that for a minute to let it cool off and harden. Now, when I do that, I usually will plug it back in just to make sure that it still works, in case I bent a wire or pulled a wire loose or something, and I didn't. It all still works. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take extra hot glue, and I'm going to smush it all around the wires and the connectors on this side to help hold everything in place. That way, if it gets yanked on, pulled on, you know, falls off the shelf or wherever it sits, that it won't just yank the wires out of the box. That will damage it, and I want this to last for years. I'll probably get a better hot glue gun in the future. I just went to Harbor Freight and got this one. It was like 10 bucks and like $3 for the glue. It's not that big a deal. And I think I use maybe 3 sticks of glue. Between 2 and 3 sticks of glue for each one of these boxes. Alright, now we're going to start to run the LED strip. I pulled the paper back just a few inches at a time. That way nothing's all, you know, sticking to anything. And we're going to go a couple inches at a time and put some glue. Now what I've learned with this is that you need to put glue underneath the LED strip, stick it down, and then I put a line of glue across the top, so it kind of encases the whole thing in a circle of hot glue to help hold it in place. So get some glue underneath it. Doesn't take a whole lot. Squish it down onto it, and then you run a little bit of glue across the top of it, like that. Now this can be a little bit, like I said, a little bit time consuming, but it's not too bad. You just gotta work your way around a little bit at a time. Now I'll probably put this on time lapse while I do this. That way you ain't gotta sit here through the whole process. Alright, I've got it all glued in there. It's all dried, or not dried, it's all cooled off and hardened up, so we should be good to go on that. Let's try to show you in detail here how I did a dab of glue underneath the strip, pressed the strip down, and then I put a little string of glue across the top. I did that everywhere. I made a connection. Because after I did my first lithophane box a long time ago, it eventually they started to come off unsticking from the hot glue. So I started doing this, and it seems to have worked. So I got it plugged in. Let's make sure it works. Oh yeah. See what that does whenever you run it this pattern right here. It's the best way I've figured that you have light projecting straight up to the lithophane on the top. You have this light projecting to this side, this light projecting to this side, and then all of this is projecting forward also. So all 4 sides have light projected directly at it. And yeah, it seems to work pretty well. So now that we got that done, let's, God, that's bright when you're looking at it. Ow. And I have leftover, plenty of leftover to do another box. It's all together, glue's done, connections are all good, it's all glued together. We can go ahead and put some lithophanes in it. There's 2. Oh, by the way, the lithophanes for this need to be 120 by 120 by max. I think it's 3 mil thick, if I remember correctly. So you got 1 on each side, you got 1 on the top, and you take the front and you put it, it just sets in there. It's not very tight, it's actually kind of loose. I am working on a new design of my own that will secure this much better, and it's going to use magnets. Now this just has tabs on it that this slides over. And it holds pretty securely. It's not that big a deal. It actually holds, and as long as it doesn't get played with or anything, it should stay together forever, I would think. I mean, as long as it's sitting on a shelf or something. So, okay, so there's 4 lithophanes, the box. You can see the back where the wire goes through that plug that I had designed. And turn it on. Ooh, I like that color. That's that warm lithophane white from American Filaments. That is very, very pretty, and it prints very smooth. I've used a lot of different whites, a lot of different filaments trying to print lithophanes, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and pay a little bit more for this American Filament because it is just a smooth printing filament. There's the 2 sides. You do have to hold the front when you tip it up because it will fall out. The cover will fall off. It's kind of cool. Ooh, there's some strings there. But yeah, there it is, guys. It really isn't that big a deal. It's not that hard to do. I think the hardest part of all this is actually printing the lithophanes. I use an FL Sun Super Racer, and I print at 25 millimeters a second, 1.2 millimeter layer height. It takes approximately 8 to 9 hours for each lithophane, depending on how much detail is in it. So, but there you go. You got your on-off switch. You can switch whenever you want. You know, switch it off and on. It's put together. I don't like this design particularly because it is a little loose on the front cover. I mean, it stays on there. It doesn't go anywhere or anything like that. But I just think there's a better way to do this. I would have did magnets in these corners. But there you go. That's how I do my LED light strips for the Lithophane box. So let me turn off the light here. I don't know if you can see that any better, but it almost looks yellow, but it's not yellow. It's like, I don't know. It's warm. It's definitely a soft look to it. If I could get you guys to do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. You can hit the notification bell if you want to. I'm not asking that, but at least hit the subscribe button for me if this helps you out. We'll see you on the next project.